Choosing the right inflatable paddleboard can feel overwhelming. There's hundreds on the market, different lengths, different widths, different thicknesses, different constructions, and of course, all at different prices. So how do you decide which SUP is right for you? In this SUP boarder video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how inflatable SUPs differ and what you need to consider when choosing the right board for you. This video is sponsored by Aquamarina, and I'll be using a range of their boards to demonstrate different shapes and categories, but remember the advice here applies across all inflatable SUP brands. So before brand, before colour, before price, the shape matters the most. Two boards can look very similar online, but can feel completely different on the water. If you understand the fundamentals of board design, you're going to make a far better decision than just chasing a good deal. I mean, after all, it might be cheap, but if it's the wrong shape, you really are going to regret that later. So let's start with length. Now, length has the biggest impact on how boards perform. Shorter boards, around 10 foot to 11 foot long, are really easy to turn. They're great for beginners, family paddling, beach days, even catching some small waves. But they definitely don't offer as much glide or speed as longer boards. So boards around 11 foot to 13 foot long are faster and they travel further with each paddle stroke. And they also track straighter too, which is going to help you paddle in a straighter line. If you think you'll paddle regularly and you want to cover more distance or improve your fitness, going for a longer board is the smarter long-term choice, even as your first board. And if you're really interested in speed or racing, you're going to be looking at 12'6" or 14-foot boards. These are the two main race classes used around the world, the 14-foot being the fastest due to it being that much longer in length. But remember, race boards aren't just about racing. They can also be great for fitness paddling and covering distance efficiently. So ask yourself, is it going to be maneuverability, glide or speed you're after, or a bit of both? In this case, maybe going for a mid-length board would be the best option. Now if we look at widths, widths give you stability. Boards around 31 to 32 inches wide offer a good balanced feel. They're stable, they're easy to use, great for many paddlers weighing around 75 to 90 kilos, that's 165 to 198 pounds. The wider boards around 33 to 34 are very stable. They're really confidence inspiring for beginners, useful for yoga, great for carrying extra weight, stuff like children or a dog. They work really well for paddlers over 90 kg, 198 pounds. Once you go below 30 inches, you move into boards that offer a lot more performance and speed, with most race boards being around 25 to 29 inches in width. But here's the important thing to remember, wider boards do create more drag. They're slower and they can feel awkward to paddle, especially if you're a smaller framed person. So yes, wider boards give you stability, but a wider board isn't always better. The goal is to choose the narrowest board you feel comfortable standing on, considering your weight and anything else you may be carrying as well. If we move on to thickness, thickness is really often misunderstood. Most inflatable boards are 4, 5 and 6 inches in thickness. 6-inch boards will have the most volume. They're better suited for heavier paddlers, 90 kg, 198 pounds plus, or anybody wanting to carry that bit more extra weight. They sit a bit higher out of the water and they will generally offer you more stiffness. However, lighter paddlers, they sometimes feel that these thicker boards are a bit corky and they're standing a bit high out of the water when they're actually paddling. 5-inch thick boards sit slightly lower in the water, and really for a lot of average weight paddlers, 75 to 90 kilograms, 165 pounds, 198 pounds, they do feel the perfect thickness to paddle, and they'll still offer you a good amount of stiffness as well. With the thinnest boards, the 4-inch thick boards, they sit lower in the water again, giving the paddlers under 75 kilograms, 165 pounds, more control and more of that connected feel to the water. And they also work well in the surf because of this, and having a thinner rail really allows you to turn the board easier. But remember, those boards won't offer you as much stiffness for their thickness. So thickness isn't about better or worse, it's about matching the board to your body size and how you want to paddle. Now, if we're looking at constructions, not all inflatable paddleboards are built the same. Like thickness, construction directly affects stiffness, and stiffness affects performance. The stiffer board flexes less under your feet, it's going to glide better, it's going to feel more efficient, and it's just going to be easier to paddle. Now, boards vary in drop stitch density. Drop stitch is what this internal core of this board is made out of. And they've also got rail reinforcement, material layers, the recommended PSI, and the overall manufacturing quality and process that goes into this board. Now, all of this affects how stiff an inflatable paddleboard will be and its overall weight. So if you paddle regularly, construction and quality really should matter to you. But if you're an occasional holidaymaker paddler, mid-range construction may be perfectly suitable. But a well-built board will last longer and it will perform better over time. If we look at inflatable SUP packages, now they're not all the same. What comes with your board can make a really big difference. Most boards are sold as complete packages, including paddles, pumps, leashes, fins, and of course a carry bag. But the quality of these accessories can vary hugely. A better paddle is going to feel lighter and way easier to use. A good pump is going to make the whole inflation process way quicker and easier. And a well-designed bag is going to make transporting your board far more comfortable. And it's also worth considering, do you actually need all these pieces of equipment? Maybe you already have a decent paddle or pump. Now, in some cases, you can buy board-only packages. This can really help keep the cost down, and it can avoid you ending up with extra gear that you just don't need. Another consideration is the weight of the board and how easy it is to carry and store. Now, some inflatable SUPs are noticeably lighter than others, which can make a big difference to carrying to the water and then packing them away at the end of your session. Bag design also plays a big role in this. A well-padded backpack with good shoulder straps makes transport much easier, especially if you're walking and traveling longer distances. Also, think about how small the board actually packs down, particularly if you're traveling or you're really tight on storage space. It's really worth understanding that not all lightweight boards are built the same. Think about it. It's easier to make a strong, stiff board by adding lots of materials on the board, but that makes it heavy. It's easier to make a lighter board by using less materials, but that's going to make it more flexible. The real challenge for board brands is making boards that are both light, stiff, and built to last. So don't just think about the weight on paper, think about how the weight has been achieved and what the brand has done to get their board that weight. Now, when it comes to board types, there are so many different types of inflatable SUP boards on the market. Let's start. All-round boards, touring boards, race boards, surfboards, kids boards, tandem boards, multi-purpose boards, lightweight travel boards, night paddling boards, even power electric assist boards. Now, this variety can feel very confusing at first. There is so many out there to choose from, but once you understand the length, width and thickness and the construction of your boards, those categories really start to make a lot more sense. If we're looking at all-round boards, they're shorter and wider because they prioritize stability and ease of use. If you're looking at touring boards are longer, often slightly narrower because they prioritize glide and straight line tracking, but they also give you that ability to carry gear. Race boards push that even further. They're longer again, they're narrower again, they're designed for maximum speed and efficiency over distance. Surf SUP boards are shorter and thinner than most, and they need to give you more control on a wave. Kids boards are very much just scaled down in length and thickness, so a smaller paddler or child can carry them easily, can use them easily on and off the water. Tandem boards are the opposite. Increased length, increased volume, increased width to carry more weight and maintain stability for 2 or more paddlers. If we look at very much a newer type of board on the market, the lightweight travel boards, they really do reduce the overall pack size. They're way easier to carry and move long distances, easier to transport, just allowing you to paddle way more places. Also, you're going to see more multi-use board designs. A really popular example in Aquamarina is the Aquamarina Cascade. These allow you to paddle standing up like a SUP or sit down and paddle like a kayak. To be honest, for families, for beginners, or people just wanting to get into water sports for the first time, they really can be a great compromise, offering stability, versatility, the ability to try different paddle sports on the same board. And another one that Aquamarina have got into, the night paddling boards, the glow-in-the-dark boards. These are great for paddling low-light sessions, paddling evening sessions, work really well as social groups. They're a lot of fun to use, and it's amazing what you can see at night when you go paddleboarding. And lastly, electric fin systems. These add propulsion and help maybe in conditions where you need that extra help, for wind, for current, for long adventures. Now, these definitely shouldn't be relied on completely, and they really should be treated as like a paddle assist. But for many paddlers who need that extra help, these are a great asset to have, and they are getting a lot more people on the water and to places that they possibly couldn't reach before. So these categories aren't just marketing labels. The designs are curated for specific paddling goals in mind. And once you understand that, choosing the right board becomes much, much clearer. Prices though, prices vary a lot. You're probably very aware of this already. You get budget options up to the premium price point constructions. Now, cheaper isn't always better if you can afford it. A cheaper board may not perform as well, it's not going to last as long, and it definitely isn't going to hold its value. Spending more often means better materials, better constructions, and more design, more R&D into that board shape. And you're more likely to get better accessories, better support, and a brand that actually stands behind its product. The brand behind the board does matter. A good inflatable SUP should last you years and years and years. So you've got to look into how long the brand has been around, their reputation, whether they support their customers. Check out their warranties, their spare parts, the real customer service that they potentially do or don't give you. Because when something needs fixing, that support really does matter. So you're not just buying a board, you're buying into a quality design and the long-term use of that board. It's also worth thinking about environmental impact as well. A board that's going to last longer is not only going to save you money, but it's going to reduce the waste and it's going to be better for the environment. Better quality boards will also tend to hold their resale value more. So try and think long-term about your inflatable paddleboard, not just about that price point when you're going to be buying it. You've got to be thinking about the overall value. So, in summary, choosing the right inflatable SUP comes down to understanding a few key things. Your length affects the glide and the speed of the board. Shorter boards are easier to turn, longer boards paddle further, and they're way more efficient. The width affects the stability. Wider boards feel more stable, but they are slower to paddle. So the aim is to choose the narrowest board that you're comfortable standing on. Thickness affects how the board floats and feels under your feet. The thicker boards will suit heavier paddlers or for somebody wanting to carry more weight, while the thinner boards you will feel more connected to the water. So if you're new to paddleboarding and you want an easy board for the whole family, you're definitely going to be start looking at all-round shapes around the 10'6" long, about 32 inches wide. If you want to paddle further and more often, go for a longer board, something around 11 foot or maybe even a little bit longer. If you're a heavier paddler, go for a board with a bit more width and something that is 6 inch in thickness. It's going to be the stiffest and the easiest for you to use. A 5-inch thick board is often a great all-round option for so many paddlers. If you're a lighter paddler or you're looking for maybe a surf style board, something to get into the waves a bit more, you're going to be looking at a 4-inch thick board. You'll feel more controlled and more connected to the water, and it's going to be easier to maneuver. So you want to match your board to how you want to paddle. It's also worth thinking about the brand behind the board, choosing something that's well designed, built to last. It will not only perform better over time, it'll be better for your wallet, and it's going to be better for the environment too. So remember this, the right shape matters more than the price and the graphics. If you choose smart, you'll be buying once and you'll be getting a safe board that's easy to get into the sport and will last you years and years and years. My name is Ruben. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Any comments you got about this video, please get them in the comments section below. If you're mad keen on SUP, check out SUP Boarder Pro, our subscription service, where we do loads more board comparisons and tests, and definitely check out the full SUP Boarder website. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the water soon.